Hey everyone, Dennis Caye here with Belize Islands Real Estate coming to you live on this beautiful sunshine blue sky day. Just have a interesting video for you today. First of all, this is something I think that many of you are going to be interested in because you've been asking me the question, Dennis, just tell me, what does it cost to live in Belize? And my answer is I can't tell you how much it costs to live in Belize because all I can tell you is what it took us to live on in different areas. But you know what? You might not live like us. We had a certain way we wanted to live. We want to live in certain areas. We had a certain lifestyle that we wanted to maintain. And for you, that could be a low, that could be high. So it's very difficult for us to give you an answer on how much is the cost of living. And another thing is, if you're just on websites like International Living or somebody's blog or the worst real estate websites where they're giving average cost of living, be very careful of that kind of stuff. You know, one of the big draws that they try to do is to get people to come down, to fall in love with the area. They get all emotional because, you know, the palm trees are swaying and the drinks are in hand and they just fall in love with the vibe of Belize. And then they look at these numbers like, oh, I can live here for this amount. Awesome. Let's buy a place. And then the reality is it's going to cost you a lot more. I've never seen it work where those people are advertising, come to Belize and live like a king on $1,000 a month. You know, I don't see it happening. I don't know how anyone can do it. They might be doing it, but here's some advice that I have for you today based on that whole intro. Okay, some of you are on a budget. You have a retirement account where you have a little bit of money coming in each month. Maybe you have a little bit of a nest egg, right? So you are looking to make your dollar stretch. And you can find places in Belize where it is absolutely cheaper to live. All right, some of these areas that we've talked about before, like Corozal, for example, has cheaper real estate prices, cheaper food prices, right? Other costs, though, are going to be a little higher. For example, you need a car in Corozal, and gas in Belize isn't cheap. Or some of you are looking at Hopkins or the Caye district, okay? So if you're looking at a mainland lifestyle, then you can check out places like Hopkins and Corozal and San Ignacio, things like that. You'll find that the rents and property prices are absolutely lower than they are on the islands. But remember, you're going to be living on mainland Belize, right? Central America. It's a lot different than out of the islands. So what I thought I would propose today is one of Steph and I's favorite places in Belize, besides Ambergris Caye, and that is the small sister island right to the south of us of Caye Caulker. Because here is where an opportunity lies for some of you, and I'm going to go through why. First of all, take a look at some of the slides. This is a aerial view of Caye Caulker. You see it's a much smaller island. I think at last count, approximately 1,500 or 1,700 people live full-time in the island, so it's got a very low density. It does attract some tourists. It's very popular with backpackers and European tourists alike, and those who are looking for a little bit more budget-minded vacation as compared to, well, even like Placencia and Ambergris Caye. So you can live on Caye Caulker for, I would say, pretty darn cheap. So I'm going to explain why. But first of all, a few more pictures. This is a picture of the split. So Caye Caulker is subdivided into a north and south sides, just like Ambergris Caye. Now here, the split is a little bit more prominent than it is on Ambergris Caye. Here, it really separates the two halves. I would recommend looking at something on the south side of the island, which is the island that is most populated. And what many people like about this island, it is truly that laid back, reggae, sandy streets, funky vibe that attracts the artists and the musicians and those who just really want to experience a very slow-paced life, get by on the cheap, and just to enjoy the heck out of the sunshine and the Caribbean Sea right up front. One of the main savings you would have if you lived full-time on Caye Caulker is transportation. Of course, you don't have a car, but you don't even need a golf cart. The island is so small. So most people here just buy a bicycle. So let's say you fly down from the US or Canada, you land. First thing you do when you get off the plane is you look for somebody with a used bike. You give them 50 bucks. They're happy. You're happy. You got transportation on the island. All right. No maintenance, no upkeep, no gas, no license, no insurance. Pretty darn easy way to get around. Then you look for an apartment. So let's talk about rental prices on Caye Caulker. Well, I found McCall Apartments. I know this property very well, just a few blocks from the beach. And this offers long-term rentals at very reasonable prices with some perks thrown in. For example, they have a one-bedroom that rents for $675 per month long term, and it has some bonuses in it. For example, a washer is available on site. Some units have air conditioning. There is free Wi-Fi in all the units. Now that's significant because Wi-Fi in Belize, depending on how much you use, can be more than you're used to spending in the United States or Canada. But for somebody looking to move on a budget, $675 for rent. Let's say your electricity is another, I don't know, $50, $75 a month. All right, pretty reasonable. And then let's talk about your food. All right, so you can always go to the grocery store and buy your raw staples, your chicken and rice and beans and plantain from the market and your fresh seafood, and that's all going to be, pretty cheap on Caye Caulker. But let's say you want to go out and treat yourself to a lunch every day. You want to go out for lunch. Well, here's one of the fantastic places you can eat at called Bamboo's. They have some of the best chicken, rice and beans, fried plantain, and coleslaw for 10 Belize. So you're talking $5. So $5 for lunch. You can go out every single day, get yourself a lunch out, a nice cold Belgian beer, and you don't have to eat your own cooking every day. For breakfast, if you don't want to make your own eggs and Johnny cakes at home, you can go out to Erlen's House of Fried Jacks. So Fried Jacks are awesome. They're a staple in Belize. I don't know if they're the healthiest for you, but they certainly do taste good. And let me tell you, there are enough calories in one of these Fried Jacks to keep you going all day long. For example, that one on the left there, the ham and cheese one, I think that is $2.75 US. So you pick up that for your breakfast, maybe some fresh squeezed orange juice, and there you go. You're off and running to the races. If you like a little sundowner at night, instead of buying the expensive imported vodkas and gins and wines from France, just go with the local stuff. The Belizean rums are incredible. 1 barrel, 5 barrel. I like the Traveler's Gold rum. They have the pineapple rum. They also make some gins and vodkas. You know what? Put some of these in your Coke or Diet Coke or juice, and you'll be just fine at the end of a long day of soaking in the sunshine. And then finally, another expense you do have to consider is that annual visa renewal fee. Now, if you're on the mainland, you might have to drive somewhere to one of the immigration offices are. On Ambergris Caye, they have their own immigration office. But here on Caye Caulker, they don't. So once a month, you take the water taxi over to the immigration office on Ambergris Caye. It takes 22 minutes. And you get your passport stamped for another month. That costs $100. The water taxi is $17.50. Maybe on Ambergris Caye, you go out for lunch, you treat yourself at the Blue Water Grill. That's another $25. So let's just say for $150 one time a month, get your visa renewed, go experience San Pedro for the day, take the water taxi. It's a fun ride anyway, and then you're good to go. So if you add it all up, the rent, what do we say rent was? $675. So we go $675 plus let's say $75 in utilities, right? That's up to $750. And how much would you spend on groceries at the actual grocery store? Maybe $75 a week, all right, for a single person or a couple. So 75 times 4, you're looking at 300. So let's add 300 to the 750. That's up to 1,050. What other expenses would you have? You don't have any transportation expenses. The Wi-Fi is included. Let's say phone, all right? So, yeah, you get a little bit for the phone, but you're not going to really call that many people, and you're going to be using that free Wi-Fi to call people back home on WhatsApp or Zoom or something like that. Let's say your phone costs, I don't know, $25 a month. Just got a prepaid plan there. So you're up to $1,075. All right, let's say you budget $50 a week for extras. Just going out to dinner once a week or out to some lunches, maybe out snorkeling. $50 a week isn't much, right? But that's another $200 a month. We're talking like every week though, right? So over the course of a year, some weeks you'll spend more, some weeks you'll spend less, but let's add $200 a month to that. Now we're up to $1,275. And let's say for incidentals, let's add another $2.25 every month. That's up to $1,500 a month. All right, did I miss anything? So we have your rent, your utilities, your fund money, your incidentals, your whatever you want to do, $1,500 a month, and you're living the dream on Caye Caulker. And this includes, did it include your one trip to San Pedro? So let's do that. I don't think we included that. So $1,650, and that's $100 of that is your visa renewal. So all right, $1,650 to live times 12. You're talking 19,800 bucks. All right, for the entire year on Caye Caulker, if you just stayed on the islands of Belize. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I had a guy yesterday, actually over the weekend, say, he doesn't have much money. He has a small pension, about $1,500 a month, and he's wondering if he can live in Belize. And my first gut reaction was no. You know what? Sorry, don't try it. 1,500 bucks a month isn't going to go very far. And if you're on the mainland, you need a vehicle, if the car breaks down, whatnot. But then I got to thinking. All right, he also has a house that he says that if he sells the house, he can get about $150,000 cash to work with. All right. So let's just say he takes the 150 and he pays for an entire year in Belize. Let's just say he takes the 20 grand out. So this brings him down to 130. But now he lives in Belize completely free for at least 1 year, and he still has $130,000 in the bank, and he never touched his incoming pension. Right? That's all been going into savings. But now let's say he takes half of the 130. What's he going to do with it? I could put it in the stock market, and that's volatile. I could put it in the bank and earn nothing on it, right? Inflation would eat him alive. So I'm always conservative. Let's say he takes just half of the 130 and wants to invest in something in Belize as an investment, not a place to live, as an investment. So 130 divided by 2 is 65,000. So what can you do with 65,000 bucks? Well, let's be conservative. Let's say he finds a lot in an up-and-coming area, and he spends, again, conservatively. Let's say he spends 50,000, buys cash. So he looks for a good deal, right? Spends 50,000 plus his stamp tax and closing costs up to 55 grand, right? So he's got 55,000 into the property, and if he buys in a good area, up-and-coming area, and he gets a good deal, he should be able to take title, wait 6 months or 12 months for some appreciation to happen, and then maybe sell that for 75,000 bucks. All right. Now let's just say for argument's sake, that he sells it himself. He doesn't use me. He just sells it himself for 75,000, and he takes no money down. He says, you know what? Somebody has no money, zero money down, and you can buy my lot, and you can just make payments to me. Well, 75,000. And remember, what is the seller financing rate in San Pedro or in Belize? It's 10%, right? So he's charging him 10%, and let's see, 75,000. So he's making 7,500 a year in that one investment. All right. Remember, it was only costing him less than 20,000 a year to live. So this is about a third of his living cost, and he still has a large nest egg because we were conservative again, right? So he still has $75,000 that if he wants to, he can just leave that in his U.S. or Canadian bank account as his fail-safe nest egg, right? Something he might need to go back to the States for or relocate for or whatever. But you can see through this little exercise that it is absolutely possible to live in Belize on an island, on Caye Caulker, and do so with a very, very low budget. And you can do so as a retiree on a small pension. And if you work your numbers right, if let's say you have a little bit more money to work with, let's say you did invest, the whole 150. Now what are you looking at bringing in a month? Play your cards right, might be about 2 or 3 of these deals, 2 or 3 mortgages. And now with the money that you've invested, it's paying for all your living expenses. All right, so that's the kind of things that I like to do with my clients. See what it is that they have to work with now, what might be coming up, and also, you know what you say to yourself, I don't know if I can make this work forever. Don't make it work forever. Make it work for a year. What if this guy who I was talking to this weekend just came down for a year or 2 years? 2 years, 40 grand. Lived in Belize for 2 years, for less than 40 grand, and had the time of his life. Is that so bad? I don't think so. So if you want to hit me up on a Zoom call, go ahead. The link is below to buy me a coffee. Hit me up on the Buy Me Coffee link. Jump on a Zoom call with me. Tell me about yourself. What are you looking to do? What are your goals? What are your dreams? Let's see how Steph and I can make those a reality or help make those a reality. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.